Hi, everyone. Thanks for clicking on this video. My name is Jalen Brooks-Neffley, and I'm an Energy Project Manager with Conservation Voters of South Carolina. And today we're going to talk about one important form of clean energy advocacy, which is testifying at the Public Service Commission. All right, so first, let's just talk a little bit of background about the Public Service Commission, or PSC. The PSC is the state agency that regulates public utilities, and that includes electric utilities. Now, a lot of what the PSC does is similar to a court. So you see, I've got a picture of their meeting room up on the screen, and it looks a lot like a courtroom. You're going to have 7 commissioners sitting in those chairs. They're going to act a lot like judges, asking questions, taking testimony, making decisions. And the issues are considered in what we call dockets, which basically function like a court case. But one thing that the PSC does that courts don't do is sometimes it holds public hearings. It says, we are going to make a decision that is really important to the citizens of South Carolina, and so we are going to invite them here to sort of speak their mind before we make that decision. And that is the big topic we're going to cover today. If you want to go to one of these public hearings, you can go to the PSC's meeting room, which is located at the very edge of Columbia. It is just one section of an office park, and it doesn't really have a sign, so I've got a picture of it on Google Maps up on the screen for you. You're going to look for that big 101 on the corner of the building. That means you're there. You can go through those glass doors. The hearing room is on the first floor to the left. You also have the option to watch the hearings virtually. There is a streaming option run by SCETV. You can find at the link on the screen. They also now have an option to listen in on the phone. And so you can call that number, put in the passcode, and you will be able to follow along with the hearings. One important note here is that you cannot make comment either by watching the stream online or by calling that phone number. There's a very specific way to do those comments, and I'm going to talk about it in just a second. If you want to participate in the hearings, you have a couple of different options. One option that you almost always have is to submit a written comment. You can do that just by emailing contact@psc.sc.gov. You're going to put the docket number in the subject line, and if you ever need help figuring that out, CVSC is here to help you find that docket number. Then you can just draft your comment in the body of the email, press send, and you are all set. However, a more powerful way to participate in these hearings is to actually show up or listen in and use your physical voice to make a comment. The commissioners will be there in person, they'll be paying attention, they'll be ready to ask questions, and they will see that there is a human face, a human person attached to the comment that they are receiving. Now, the way to do that is very simple. The PSC will send out a link, and CVSC will generally share around this link as well. And it's usually a SurveyMonkey, and you're just going to fill out their little form, and they will set you up from there. Important note here is to watch out for deadlines. Usually you have to sign up a few days in advance before the hearing in order to properly register, so just keep an eye out for that. When you register, you can choose either virtual or in person. If you want to testify in person, you are going to actually show up at that office building that I mentioned and give your testimony into a microphone. If you want to testify over the phone, the PSC is going to assign you an approximate time that they'll call you, and then they will call you on your phone and you can give your testimony that way. All right, so that is how you register. What should you actually expect on hearing day? I've got 2 pictures on the screen. The top picture is the hearing room. So this is if you want to testify in person into the microphone. This is what you will see. And the bottom screen is what you'll see if you're following along online, you're watching the stream, and then someone will call you to connect you. You can probably expect some long waits, unfortunately, maybe some technical difficulties. I really urge you to just hang in there, bear with it. They really do want to hear you, and if you stick around, they will get to you eventually. When it's your turn, they will call you again, either on the phone or up to the podium. You will generally affirm to tell the truth. Then you will give your name, your street name. They don't want your home address, just the street that you live on, and what utility provides your electricity. Then you are going to get 3 minutes to speak, and they are pretty strict about that. They will probably cut you off after 3 minutes. Finally, there is a chance for the utility and the commissioners to ask you any questions that they may have. I would say the utility generally doesn't ask a lot of questions at these hearings, but the commission might ask you to clarify or follow up or explain your reasoning or something like that. All right, so you're registered, you know what to expect, you're ready to go. How do you actually write your comment? Well, I've got 4 pieces of advice here. The first is to tell a personal story, to say how the decision is going to affect you personally. Now, before the PSC makes its decision, they're going to hear from experts and lawyers and scientists and all kinds of people who are going to take them far out in the weeds. So your superpower here is that you can tell that personal story to say, here is how this is going to affect me in my real life. And that is really powerful. I would also recommend having a clear call to action, so saying specifically what you want the PSC to do. Again, like I said before, you got to be brief. You have 3 minutes. I would probably recommend reading your comment out loud ahead of time to make sure you're going to fit under the time limit. And I would recommend being civil, being polite. The commissioners they're just people, and if you come across as rude, they are more likely to disregard your comment. And finally, you might be wondering, does my participation in these hearings really matter? And having watched them for a couple of years at this point, I can answer with a resounding yes, they matter. This commission especially is interested in the public voice. They are holding way more hearings than previous commissions. They really want to know how this is going to impact you. So the commissioners will sometimes even refer to specific public comments, when explaining the rationale for their decisions. So we know they're paying attention, we know they're listening. Also, without the public, the commissioners can just kind of feel like they're in that office park out by themselves, and that what they decide doesn't really matter. So showing up in person, using your voice, it really shows them that the decisions they make are important and have real consequences. All right, finally, if you have any questions about the information I've talked about in this video, or any questions about specific issues at the PSC, please feel free to email me. I love answering PSC questions. I'll usually get back to you within about 24 hours. In the meantime, thank you so much for your time and attention, and feel free to reach out anytime.